Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. My name is Penny Larson and I am really happy to have you with me today. I've been thinking I need a new catchy opening. Do y'all watch Philip DeFranco? Because he has like his Beautiful Bastards and that's pretty exciting, although I don't know that I want to go with Beautiful Bastards because it's, trying to keep it like G rated because we're drum lessons here. Um, But hey, y'all, blah, 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 is getting a little tired. So if you have any suggestions, why don't you drop them down in the comments? As you saw from the title, today is another one of my Penny Recommends videos. I know I am due to show you some actual playing in some videos, and that will be happening soon. Making videos is kind of, there's a momentum to it and an inertia. And when you're doing it, I don't want to say it's easy to keep doing it, but to keep the flow going isn't, it's a thing. Whereas then when you take like a few days off from planning or filming or editing or whatever, the next thing you know, you're like, oh, well, and you start like second guessing yourself. So I'm not totally sure that I'm like prepared for this video, but I want to just go because it's been too long since I've actually. You guys saw the new Sex and Witchcraft the other day, which is great, but that's kind of that's me playing, but it's it's my band, right? So I also want to do content for y'all that's just specifically me. So today we are talking about the first record that I bought that I had to fight with my mom about. So I was 10, I guess, because this came out in 1980, and my mom loves music. She brought me up on the Beatles and B.B. King and all this blues stuff and really great 60s music. But when the late 70s and early 80s happened, she was not on board with that music, and she really disliked the Police, and so much so that she was like, "You're not getting that record." And I was like, "What? Of course I am." Have I ever told you all that so I'm an only child and an only grandchild, and I was a little spoiled, and so I knew my mom was being silly even when I was 10. I was like, there's nothing wrong with this music. Why can't I get this music? So cooler heads prevailed. My mom eventually gave in, and I had a record player in my bedroom. Records were still the way that you consumed music, and I remember getting this record. And the Police weren't the first band that I fell in love with. Actually, I think the first band I fell in love with was probably the Beatles, because my mom had taken me to Beatlemania in the mid 70s, and that was amazing, seeing that and experiencing that. And so there were the Beatles, and then I totally fell in love with Kiss. I had the Kiss Alive 2 record, and oh goodness. But the Police, I think, was the start of my really thinking about what was going on musically and really diving into some deeper music, right? The Beatles are amazing, but especially drum-wise, Ringo is masterful, but not complex, right? And then Kiss is just Kiss, right? I mean, they are awesome, but they are what they are. And so then came along, I heard this song from this record. One of these days I'm going to get which side it's on right the first try. The song called Bombs Away, which was written by Stuart Copeland. And if you don't know, Bombs Away has like one of the coolest drum beats I've ever heard still. And now I'm like a million years old, so now I've had a lot more time to kind of compare it to stuff. And it still holds up. It's like with like 16th notes on the hats, and it's so good. We probably won't get back to the police ever in these videos, and we might not even get back to Stuart Copeland in any of these videos. So let's talk a little bit about Stuart Copeland. Stuart Copeland is a really special drummer because he is excellent and able to like lay down a straight pocket, but also able to play like a lot of really busy patterns that are creative and interesting. But more than all that, he has an incredibly distinctive sound. So much so that, you know, they'll make signature Stuart Copeland, whatever. I think right now currently there's a Stuart Copeland signature ride cymbal, for example. And that sound is partly the sound of his drums, right? But also because he heavily relied or was heavily influenced by reggae rhythms, and there's like this punk element to the early Police. Even though they were all really talented musicians, a lot of times you think of punk as like people who just pick up instruments and like kind of slam away, which isn't to denigrate punk. That punk is a very it's more of an emotional thing, and it's not always played by people who can't play, even if, you know, you might think that. But the Police especially, all three of them are incredibly talented musicians, and so they were kind of influenced by punk at the beginning, and moving into like this new wave kind of movement, which is that's the phrase that my mom learned that that she forbade, right? Like, no new wave music. I don't like it, so you can't listen to it, which is like, oh, parents, right? But so we've got this punk influence. The Police, I think, consciously were moving towards a more pop ethic, aesthetic, ethos, whatever. I think they wanted to be, you know, more in that pop realm, but they had all these crazy, you know, disparate influences, punk and reggae, and, you know, just this really earthy sound, and blended them all very creatively. So so that's what you get, right? Zenyatta Mondatta, which is, I don't think I've said the name out loud yet. This is their third record, and this was that really when they were starting to kind of turn the corner. This has Don't Stand So Close to Me on it, which is definitely one of the Police's biggest songs, right? You have Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, and Don't Every Breath You Take, that would come later, right? But Don't Stand So Close to Me is kind of, to me, the song that made the Police huge, right? There's also the song on here, Da Do 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 Da 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 Da, which, the title aside, is actually a really fun little song. It's like, da do 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 da 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 is all I have to say to you, right? I mean, it's a silly kind of song, but it still has like a weight to it because the Police they're sincere, right? When they're doing stuff, they're not doing stuff as a joke. They're doing it, and it might be lighthearted, but it's sincere, right? So, to tell you the truth, I usually don't put on this record and like listen to the whole thing, right? When I had the album, I wore a deeper spot where Bombs Away was. That was one of the albums are amazing in a lot of ways, but one of the pitfalls is that you can literally wear them down. Like, every time you play it, you're damaging it, right? And so there was you could hear the difference when I played the whole side when you went from, you know, the track before Bombs Away to Bombs Away, because this just happened recently. When I fall in love with a song, I'm going to listen to it over and over again, and I almost get trapped by the listening to the song over and over again. So I don't really know, you know, I could tell you, oh, it was a, you know, #1 hit in the UK. And I did like this quote from the Rolling Stones reviewer, David Fricke, I think, it might just be Frick. he called it as near perfect pop by a band that bends all the rules and sometimes makes musical mountains out of molehill-size ideas. I think that's a really great little blurb, right? I don't know that I'd call it a perfect pop album. There's definitely some things that kind of stray into like venturing far afield. But if you're going to stay with me on these Penny Recommends videos, you should probably get used to that now. Also, I wanted to give you some, there's a lot of things that I want to tell you about and recommend that will be more esoteric than this, right? This should be, like we talked about with Miles Davis's Live at the Fillmore, if you watch that video. For me, that was really a gateway from like rock playing to jazz, right? It served as a beautiful bridge for my ear. This is a nice bridge from, like, if you listen to pop and rock and more straight ahead stuff and you've never like ventured out. First of all, I'm amazed you found me, but welcome. But if you are used to more of that straighter kind of, you can always tap and you know where the beat is and you can count to 4 and you have no trouble following the beat. This is a great sort of transition into some other stuff we might talk about. There's nothing here that's super complicated except their style, their approach to this, this thing we call music is very personal and very them, but it'll also take your ear out of, the humdrum, what you're used to. Nobody sounds like the Police, especially this record, I think. I think this record is, because it's, when they were leaving their first 2 records of their, when they were really young and they were just sort of figuring stuff out, and this is the record that sort of they turned that corner and started to really, write mega hit after mega hit after mega hit, and then after this, Sting would become Sting as a solo artist. And Andy Summers became Andy Summers as a instrumental guitarist with lots of great albums, and Stuart Copeland became like a film composer. I mean, right? Like, these guys are all amazing, right? But this to me is the album that's like I don't know. I mean, it's easy for me to say because I found it when I was 10, and music you fall in love with when you're 10. That's always going to be your first love, right? So this album is like just super special to me personally, but if I try and take a step or 2 back, I really do think this is the album that should be the first, like, if you live in this country, the United States, just in case we're not clear, if you live in the United States, it's difficult to believe that you would never have heard a Police song, but if you've never like really spent some time studying the Police's music, I think this is the album to start with. Screw greatest hits. I hate greatest hits compilations as a way to like introduce yourself to a band, because you probably have already heard all the hits, right? Like, why do you need to listen to, right? That's not an introduction to a band. That's a marketing thing, right? Once you know the band and you want like that collection of tunes, then a greatest hits album can be great. But like, if you're trying to like learn a band or interested in exploring a band even, I think greatest hits albums are not the best choice. So anyway, Zenyatta Mondatta. There'll be links to Spotify and YouTube playlist in the doobly-doo down below, and check it out. It's tell me what you think of Bombs Away too. It's one of my favorite. I think it's one of my favorite like pop drum tracks ever. It's up there with like Fool in the Rain, which we haven't talked about yet. But I mean, it's up there with just the best. For me, it's up there with like 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Steve Gadd, which like is, on Mount Olympus for most drummers, right? So, Bombs Away, Don't Stand So Close to Me. The rest of the album is great. I was just listening to it just a couple weeks ago to get ready for this video, and it had been a long time since I had listened to the whole thing, and I was like, this is great. And then when it comes to Bombs Away, I'm like, oh my God, Bombs Away, right? So, I mean, I still have like an emotional attachment to this tune. But the whole album is really good and worth your time. Okay, I'm going to wrap. In case it's not super obvious, these videos are like totally extemporaneous. So I just kind of ramble for a bit. And if you like that, awesome. And if it's not your thing and you want to see me hit stuff with sticks, you know, please stick around for those videos and just skip these. That's totally fine. I will always label these with Penny Recommends, right? So it'll be really obvious that this is just a talkie video. But with that, I'm going to wrap up, and I will see you all again real soon. I should do the little pluggy type stuff. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really, it helps a lot, right? And I really appreciate it. It's really nice having YouTube and Facebook to feel connected to people. And I swear to God, I know it's like an endorphin thing, but every, like on my video or every comment you all leave, it helps the algorithm. And so it helps me like in a technical, logistical sense with YouTube, but it also, it just feels good, right? So I really appreciate when y'all take the time to do that. I do have a Patreon, which is just patreon.com/PennyLarson. That's there at the moment. It's kind of a placeholder. It's kind of like if you like what I do and you want to just support me and help out, you can throw me a couple bucks each month. There are exclusive videos there, so it's not like there's nothing over there. And as time goes by, there will be more exclusive content over there, right? Because I'm doing exclusive stuff every month, so that will get a bigger library for you to check out. All right, with that, I'm gonna go. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all again real soon. I love you all so much, so much. Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.